I've been seeing this hair color pop up everywhere. And shockingly enough, it's a color that I've never tried before. So obviously, I have to try it. If you look up fall hair 2022, you'll get a variety of different hair colors. However, there's one particular shade that keeps popping up, this color. Cami Hembrow just did it, and the girl reviewing her hair color has the same exact color. This girl popped up on my For You page, and obviously I fell in love. Gabrielle tried it, and the iconic Kendall Jenner also tried it, quite literally putting this color everywhere. Obviously, I fell in love. A brand new human hair wig, pinned and assembled, ready to be dyed. Hopefully a very pretty blonde copper, kind of lived in. Most of my wigs are very colorful. This one's hopefully going to be a bit more toned down. So let's formulate some colors. The best way I can describe this color is a mix of blonde and copper. It is not one or the other, rather it's a mix of both. So I'm starting with 757 mixed with 7764. This is to be applied on the root. It's sort of a copper color, but sort of not. For the 90% of the hair elsewhere, I wanted to do a really true to tone copper color. So I started with 770, 777, and then 957 to add a bit of lightness into it. Basically, a true copper tone. But I wanted to amp this color up by adding blonde highlights into it. So I mixed in 9481 with 12481 to create a really fun pop of blonde. I have 3 different dyes mixed up, and I'm gonna dye it while watching a movie. Enjoy. Obviously, I shaved off my hair, which was a controversial thing for me to do. So anyways, I have to do this on a wig. Obviously, I'm doing this on a perfect lace wig. I pretty much only use them as a retailer. This is their 613 lace front wig, and I'm just sectioning this into 4 quadrants because it's going to make it the easiest for me to apply the dye. Now, whenever you're working with super light blonde hair, or whenever I'm working with it, it is always on my mind whether I need to pre-pigment the color or not. This essentially means that because the hair is at a level 10 right now, because that is the wig that I'm working with, the hair has to pick up considerable amounts of pigment when absorbing the dye. And sometimes when you're doing a super dark color on a super light base, it is worthy to add in initial pigment into it. However, because I was doing still a kind of a blonde copper look, I decided to just go in straight with the dye and apply it as I would normally. Now, obviously, I know that 97% of you guys aren't going to have pitch blonde hair. Very few people actually have hair as blonde as this one, and unless you're doing this on a wig like myself, chances are you're going to need to reformulate. The good thing is that because we're not doing a super light color, there's a good chance that you'd still be able to do this on your hair without having to bleach the hair a lot or at all. If your hair is a similar or same level to the dyes you use, for instance, if your hair is a level 7 and you want to keep the dye a level 7, you are simply able to use the same dyes, just increase the developer volume. That is, instead of using a 10 volume like I'm using here, you can use a 20 or a 30 volume to add brightness into your hair. Else, if your hair is darker than this or it is currently dyed, you might want to do something like a bleach wash just to lighten the hair a tiny bit. However, otherwise you are able to use a very similar formulation on your own natural virgin hair. It is going to turn out darker than mine did over here, just because base color makes such a difference, but it's not as hard a color to achieve as some other colors are. When it then comes to the blonde highlights, you might need to use a high lift dye with a very high peroxide, else it might be worthwhile to consider bleaching the hair. Here I am just applying the darker root formula all over. Working on a wig is actually quite difficult just because you have to gut around all of the sewing and wefts. However, if you go directly in between all of the wefts, it does become quite easy and repetitive. Look how pretty this dye is oxidizing. I absolutely love watching dye oxidize. It is science happening right before my eyes. Anyways, here I am mixing up the remaining 2 dyes because it doesn't make sense to mix them up before, because the dye reaction happens instantly and then the reaction kind of burns itself out after around 45 minutes. So always mix your dye only when you're about to use them. And now I'm going to start sectioning and weaving the hair for the highlights. Just folding the foil into 3 separate sections, flattening it down and getting that out the way because I have to repeat this process a bunch of times. And now I'm just going to be repeating the same highlighting technique 3 slices up. So I'm going to be doing 3 on the main hairline, and I'm just applying this blonde dye, even though it's now oxidizing silver, which is really fun to watch. And I'm just applying it all over, folding this up and repeating this all along the hairline. And I had to speed this up for you guys because I'm very, very slow at highlighting. It is one of the things that I'm not particularly agile at, so it's much nicer to see me do it quicker. It makes me look a bit more professional, which is a self-burn. I understand that. Once I finished 9 complete highlights just around the hairline, it was time to apply the main copper dye everywhere else. And I started by taking the hair from in between the highlighted wefts and started by dyeing those. And the color is already looking phenomenal. I love how color oxidizes, and you can really start to see the copper essence of the dye shine through. Then I applied it all over the rest of the hair. Unfortunately, it turns out I stopped recording after this point, so this is all you have. But just take my word for it, I applied the dye everywhere where you're currently seeing blonde, let it oxidize, and here we are. Isn't she gorgeous? Oh. It's funny because the color isn't true copper and it's not true brown. So it's like kind of in between, and then sometimes you see hints of blonde. It's intricate. I did give her a tiny bit of layering to make it a completely lived-in wig because I want to wear this for a few days. She's so pretty. Anyways, it is now time to put her on. This might sound weird, but do not I look like a newborn child? Like anytime someone shows a picture of a newborn and they have hair like this. I feel like a poor example of a hair influencer because I still have the previous model Dyson, but I'm also not about to spend 700 more euros to get the latest update. I have a hair here. Should I cut it? Whoops. There goes my hair growth journey. Okay. Whenever I get a brand new wig and I want it to fit right, I always prefer adding an elastic band to the back of the wig. So here I am just measuring, cutting, and sewing this onto the wig right behind where the ears would be so that it ends up with a tight band to hold it onto my head. Much better. I always like to cut out my ear holes before actually applying it onto my head because it makes it easier. Bye bye ear holes. Sorry, I haven't seen myself with long hair in a while. I look like an aged man. Let's try to fix it. Guess what? I overplugged this wig. So I made it look like I am balding, even though I'm wearing a wig. So that was a fun revelation for me to discover. But anyways, I made it work. Trust me, I promise.
I will never smile for you, smile for you, smile for you, smile for you. I will never cry for you, cry for you, cry for you, cry for you. I can take this anymore.
Okay, I think this thing is in desperate need of waves. So, damn, I really do look better with long hair. Too bad I don't care. I don't like overdoing it when it comes to hair products because I feel that they make the hair sticky, so we're sticking to nothing but two things. First one is this thing. This thing is magic. Second being the serum. Top and Lock from collab. I think it looks cute. The addition of the tiniest curtain bangs breaks up that larger hairline, but because we did it so sparse, we don't have that full bang effect. It's only like a partial thing. And here it is, the perfect, best and greatest fall hair color to try this year. It is so easy to achieve because it plays on the natural brassiness of most people's hair, but it is very complementing to the skin, and the blonde highlights just add a bit more spice to an otherwise very lived-in look. I urge you guys to try this, and the formula will be down below. But now I want to play around and create a few hairstyles, so that's what I'm doing. I started by pinning down the back of the wig, and I have this Japanese pin that I've been trying to play around with. So here I'm just creating a couple hairstyles with it. It's very fun to use. All I'm doing is shoving this thing through a bunch of different buns that I'm creating on the hair. Look how pretty this looks. Look at this, and look how real the wig looks. It looks like real hair. I mean, it is real hair, but still, you know what I'm saying? Here's another fun hairstyle, and this one plays with my very favorite braid, the rope braid. I love this braid because it's very simple, and I just created it. I wrapped it around itself, and once again, I'm going to shove a Japanese pin through it. Hope to God it holds, which after shoving it a few different times, it did. And the whole thing just looks so elegant, and I swear to God, I did not use any other pins. This thing is held up by this one pin. It is amazing. I love it. I wanted to finish it off with a French twist, one of my favorite hairstyles to try because it looks so chic, elegant, but messy. I love it. Once again, shoving this thing in vertically, and it's a bomb. It's a look. It is vibrant, it is spicy, and I love it. Try this color. You're welcome.